It's episode 40 of the Pat McGann Show. This week, we celebrate 40 episodes of the podcast with a special interview with Pat McGann. The Pat McGann Show, as always, is brought to you by Tiege Hanley, uncomplicated skincare for men. And now, here's Pat.
All right, for the 40th time, we are back in the Tiege Hanley Studios on the west side of Chicago. I'm fired up, even though we're kind of rolling with it. Little pivot of an episode, had a guest booked, bailed, but that doesn't stop us. We're here. Like I mentioned, the 40th time, so we're just going to look back a little bit. Let's do a little bit of a autopsy on the podcast, a celebration, even though 40, I turned 50 last week or so. 40 is nothing to me, but we're going to act like it's a milestone. 40 used to be a milestone, dude. When my parents turned 40, that was like, they decorated the lawn. People came out. They didn't, but my neighbors. Remember like the Lordy? Look who's 40. That was.
I turned 40 last year. That's exactly how it was.
That was an accomplishment back in the day.
It was very much an accomplishment last year for me. So
no, because you're young. I'm 40 now. Look, you still dress like you're 20.
Sure. There's a lot of 20-year-olds wearing Gilbert Gottfried shirts out there.
I worked with Gilbert Gottfried before. I love Gilbert. I actually opened for him at Zanies. You ever see him live?
I saw him live at Zanies in 2009, and then the last time I saw him was out in Aurora. He did the New Year's show, so I went out and saw him there. He was magnificent, dude. I've met him several times. I'm sure he remembers you, because that's his big thing. He doesn't remember anybody.
He's dead.
Yes, he's dead.
He's dead. All right, so I don't think he remembers much. He gone, but I remember a joke he told. I actually just retold this joke this past weekend, so it's funny when I saw your shirt. He told a joke. His act, like the end of his act, is just street jokes.
Yep.
And he does like the dirtiest stuff, and his coming out of his voice so much better. But he had a joke about his this guy getting had to go to the hospital because his wife was in a terrible accident, and the doctor's out there, and he's just like, "Oh man, your life is never gonna be the same. She's got the terrible, she's never gonna be able to walk again. You have to carry her from room to room. You're gonna have to feed her. She'll not be able to feed herself again. She won't be able to talk. You have to figure out a new way to communicate with her." And this guy is just getting crushed hearing all this, and then the doctor's like, "I'm fucking with you. She's dead."
I'm just kidding. She's dead.
No, he was absolutely the man. He had this very strange proclivity. So I used to listen to his podcast, and his podcast is amazing. It's called the Gilbert Gottfried Amazing Colossal Podcast. And what it was a celebration of old Hollywood and just old Hollywood stories that they would have, like ancient people coming on telling this, whatever Hollywood lore that they would have. And he was talking with his co-host, Frank Santopadre, who's a good guy. We've chatted over the years. And Gilbert was telling him just this crazy thing that he does. He's like,
whenever I'm in like the waiting room at the dentist and I got a People magazine, I'll take the People magazine and I'll take a Sharpie and I'll start doodling the people as Hasidic Jews. And all of a sudden I'll have a bunch of rabbis on the front of a People magazine.
and I heard this, and it's insane because I was doing that in college myself. I don't know what inspired me to do that, but I also would just doodle like Hasidic Jews onto these People magazines. So what I did when I met Gilbert was I brought a picture of the two of us that we took at Zanies in 2009, and I doodled it up so that we were both like Hasidic, like we were both rabbis, and I presented it to him. I was like, "Hey, Gilbert, would you mind signing this picture of me and you as Hasidic Jews?" And he starts laughing. He's just,
I can't sign that. Too Jewish.
And every time I would see him, I saw him 3 more times after that, I would keep bringing him pictures of the two of us doodled up that way. And so I've got a bunch of pictures that Gilbert signed for me over the years. And then, again, the biggest compliment is the guy didn't remember anybody. I had a friend working on his podcast, and he asked about it. He's like,
"Oh, yeah, I know that guy. He keeps bringing me pictures of the two of us doodled as a sedum."
So, really awesome dude. And someone that I absolutely admired to the end of my days, and someone I aspired to be in my act. Yeah, I very much have modeled my act after him.
So you have seen him?
Yes.
All right.
Multiple times.
No, that was Gilbert is a legend and a very funny dude. And anyway, I had a good weekend. I am happy to be back in the saddle here, though, with the podcast, just to talk about this Great America experience I had. My daughter's in 8th grade, and you would think that she is graduating like she's getting like her 3rd doctorate. The way they roll out the celebrations for this graduation, every day there is something. But we went to Great America yesterday. I was a chaperone, and not the best. I had 10 girls in my group. I had to keep track of.
Did you ride the rides?
I went on one ride.
How's
I
your
went
back?
on the Demon. Dude, the Demon. This is how, like, pathetic I am. I went on, like, the nostalgic. That was, like, the ride when I was a kid. The Demon was, like, one of the big ones. Now it's dwarfed by, Goliath and Viper, all these silly names. But anyway, the park was jammed. People were pissed off. I actually ran into Marcus Leshock there. Shout out to Marcus Leshock. We're always talking about WGN Morning News, but he's like a roller coaster expert. And of course he was there. He's just in Great America with his kids. And he was like, man, I didn't know all these field trips were going to be here. And then I was on a bench talking to this other woman. And I was like, are you here with a group? This older lady. And she's like, no, I didn't know there were going to be groups here. This sucks. Like, we're in the middle of an amusement park. Everyone seems kind of happy, right across from the Dippin' Dot stand. And this woman was not having it. She started like asking me, like, do you think how does the state have money to pay for all these kids being here? I'm like, you think this is like tax dollars?
Yeah, right.
These kids paid for this. She started a conspiracy right in front of the Eagle. But dude, I had a good time. The park closes at 6, which I was happy about. It used to be open until like
Much
10,
later.
11. When I was a kid, when I was there, my 8th grade trip. Did you do this for?
I went. So we had Paramount's King's Dominion, so we did King's Dominion.
Yeah.
When I
And I
went to
feel like
school.
the parks used to close later.
Yeah, like 8 or 9 o'clock.
There were a couple kids that did not show up to our bus to meet the bus. 1990.
They gone.
They left. We left them there. The parent, you know how pissed off these parents were? Can you imagine now? Like, those teachers probably be relieved of their duties. But in the moment, it was kind of great leaving those guys there.
You feel okay after riding the roller coaster?
Yeah, I felt good.
Okay.
I liked the rides, but I was on duty. I was chaperoning.
Sure.
Although I did say at one point, like, because the school told us they're very strict. You got to stay right with them. And when you get there, it's like no one's watching anybody. So I just told them, go do your thing. I'm right over here.
Here's my number. Text me when you're done.
Yeah. If anybody asks you, tell them I'm in the bathroom. I'll be back.
What's the
but
worst
no issues.
trouble you could get into at the amusement park, though? Really? Like,
Well, you could probably hop a fence and get decapitated.
okay. Aside from your imminent,
that's the worst.
Aside from
That
your
was
imminent
the-
death, what's the worst
That would be the
trouble
worst.
you could get into?
Yeah, I mean, people probably take things, steal. I don't know. It's a free for all.
It's
conceivably
14-year-old
can
girls.
be.
They're just going to be bullying each other with their words. Come on.
Yeah. Anyway, we had a great day. It was fun, and that was pretty much the weekend. I was in, where was I? I had to go to Orlando for a gig. Then I was in Long Island for a gig. Saw my buddy Tony Deo, funny dude. Yeah, I just had a good weekend, and I'm glad to be back here. But I wanted to take a look now. 40 episodes. Where are we at, by the way? We got to tell our listeners. This is a growing show.
Yeah, in terms of like the followers on Instagram, we are I think we're approaching 2,000 followers at this point. I don't want to get into the nitty gritty here, but we keep growing each episode. Each episode gathers more and more listeners like you. And we're it's just crazy because like every guest that comes on, like we reach back out to the guest. It's like, you were just on the most listened to episode of the Pat McGann Show. And then the next week comes and it's like, you were just on the most listened to episode of the Pat McGann Show. So that's what you want. You want to have that,
Well, I
kind
got to
of
give
week
a
after week
thank you
growth.
to everyone that works here on the podcast. I don't know if people even remember. If you're just tuning in, this thing started. We were in a conference room too.
Yep.
When we began, which I kind of missed. Those were fun days. Very intimate, But when I met Kelly Thornton, who is like my partner in this ride, he's the CEO of Tiege Hanley, and this was just an idea. To think about where we've come and who's been through here since, and now we have this studio, and it's been really cool to be a part of it and getting to know you guys, Tommy and Eddie, Maddie who runs the clips, Paul our producer here, just great squad. And I'm happy to be a part of it, and I love where we're headed.
I think the cool thing is that, like, when we first started, people were impressed when they were coming into that conference room. Like, oh, look at this setup. And, like, to go from that, which we all were like, okay, we're in a conference room. Like, it's got this is basically where we take our analytic meetings. And now we're, like, in a legitimate studio that's just absolutely beautiful. And people walk in now, and I just see the difference on people's faces when they walk in. Like, they're like, oh, my God, Pat, what have you built?
Well, when my guest who called off today comes here and sees that this is actually a real show, I think he may feel bad about, leaving us out. Hey guys, quick question. Are you washing your face with the same soap you wash your car with? Do you shower in the driveway too? It's time to step things up. That's why I like Tiege Hanley. It's a super simple skincare system made for guys. Cleanse, moisturize, exfoliate. It's all laid out so you don't have to think about it. Just a few minutes a day and your skin actually looks better. Head to Tiege.com/Pat for 40% off and a free gift. Start taking care of your face like an adult. That's Tiege.com/Pat.
Pat, I wanted to change things up real quick. I wanted to flip the script on you, and you've been doing a lot of interviewing over 40 episodes. I thought it'd be cool if someone interviewed you and asked you a couple of questions about Gilbert Gottfried.
I thought you were going to do a caricature of me.
I could if you'd like to. So we were just at the amusement park, so we're gonna just go ahead and find your most appealing features here, and we're gonna
sit like this.
Yeah, just hold still, and I'll ask a handful of questions though. So we love having you on the show, and you're such a funny guy, and you're such a personable guy. When did you?
I feel like I really am a guest, and we just met.
No, when did you realize that this was kind of in your blood? Like, when did you realize that you were an entertainer? Was there a moment when you were a younger man that you were just were you always good, in the group with people, leading people? What made you feel like I'm the guy that's kind of tastemaker? I'm the guy that's gonna kind of be able to break people up.
Oh man, I always say this about when people ask me when did you realize you're funny or
Sure.
when did you think you were funny, that everybody I grew up with was funny.
Yeah.
And everyone that I still kind of hang out with is funny.
Do you have a funny family? Do you have funny friends?
Oh yeah, my parents very funny. Always storytelling, And I actually had this conversation with my kids last night. I had them outside on our deck, and I was trying to get my boys to sit up and have a conversation, because when they come out, they're like, who do we have on? We had Ian Happ about the posture coach.
Right.
Yeah. That's who I need. I need a posture coach for my guys.
The kids, for the boys.
They're they come out slouching and just and I think it's just sitting around with people and talking and hearing stories, and you learn so much, and sense of humor being part of that. That was just a big thing. My grandma, my great aunts and uncles, they would just talk all the time, be around a table, be in a circle. And, that was just kind of what I grew up with. And I think that's a big thing about being, the neighborhood I grew up in is very Irish Catholic, and, storytelling and having this personality. But then there's a line of getting on a stage. So then that's where it shifts. So I didn't have the guts to do it.
Right.
Probably because, you ever hear of this poppy theory? I think it's a poppy plant theory.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That kind of poppy. Got it.
Maybe I'm wrong about the plant, but there is a plant that if one of the flowers grows higher than the other ones come around and choke it down because it's blocking the light from the group. So they don't encourage going and growing and that's, I've heard that this is big in Australia. This whole if you think you're getting too big for your britches, or you think that you're getting
you're the shining
somebody,
star, right?
They'll cut you back
down. Yeah.
And there was a little bit of that undercurrent. You don't get into theater, you don't do plays, you don't do that was kind of the vibe. Mm-hmm. So it did take a while to be I'm gonna try and do an open mic.
Who did you see for the first time, either on TV or in person, that made you think that I want that?
Oh man, I just always I never thought I would be doing it, but I loved watching funny people on TV. You know, I was big into Letterman. And, you know, my parents would watch Johnny Carson. That was a part of it. Jerry Seinfeld. I remember before he had his show, my mom was a huge Seinfeld fan, and
just from like his Tonight Show, and,
just from his Tonight Show appearances, and then going to New York City. They would go to clubs when they'd come back from New York City and be like, "We went to a comedy club. We went to and in fact, this thing you're wearing right now, there's a joke my mom still references about like the chain you're wearing.
Oh, the Cornicello. Okay. Yeah.
So the host in New York City would be like, "Hey, I like this. What is this, Mr. T starter kit?" And then, like, I'm just kidding. Get this guy another provolone daiquiri. Like, my mom has been quoting that line since 1987. You know,
the Irish have been shitting on the Italians since for as long as I can remember. I love
my
that.
mom's grandmother from Ireland married a guy from Italy, so
okay.
I think she's got a card. She's part Italian.
She's got a little bit of Paisan. I like that. So that's really cool to think about those early influences like a David Letterman. Yeah, I've always sort of gotten that's a very high compliment to give you, but I've always sort of gotten that vibe, just kind of like that irreverence that he had, you know, just like and he kind of can be down to earth and like chat with you, but also just like take the piss out of you like right away, and you definitely got that. So when you do an open mic for the first time, like the advice that pretty much everyone gives you is like, okay, you just got to get 3 or 4 minutes together. You got to get like a handful of things that you're going to say, and you got to just go jump in and do it. What was your first open mic? Where was it?
I was at Edge Comedy Club at Chicago and Halsted, and I kind of scouted it out. This is my advice to people when you are starting out in this is go to an open mic as a observer.
Watch, yeah.
And just take it in. And that's what I did. I went to a few of them when I was kind of thinking about jumping in the pool, and I was maybe
20 years ago at this point, right?
Yeah, 2007, late 2007. The first time I did anything was September 2007. And then going to the open mics, though, and seeing, like, the bad, the terrible.
Yeah.
You know, there are good stuff, but you could be like, oh, I could at least do that. Or, like, this person doesn't even have anything memorized or prepared. So that's what I always say, like, to try that first. But, yeah, open mics, man. If you think about that is pretty wild. Just the concept of an open mic. I mean, if you're playing a guitar or you do music or anything, that a place will set up a plugged-in microphone and random people can come in off the street and speak their mind. That's a pretty great concept.
I mean, it's a big business. There's a lot of bars that depend on people hopefully going in there and buying a handful of drinks. Do you remember your first joke?
Not really.
No, good.
No. I know it had something to do with, like, there was like a historical reference to, I think I had like an Abraham Lincoln reference, or I don't know. Tommy's yawning right now. When your skin looks better, you feel more confident everywhere you go. At work, out with friends, on a date, or like me at a big show. That's why I like Tiege Hanley. They make skincare simple with a routine that takes about 2 minutes a day. Just wash, exfoliate, moisturize, and you're done. No complicated routines or cluttered bathroom shelves. If you want to look better without overthinking it, try Tiege Hanley. Check it out at Tiege.com/Pat and get 40% off and a free gift. That's Tiege.com/Pat. Tiege Hanley. Put your best face forward.
As you build upon that, you go to more mics, and a lot of it is, not only are you building material, but you're making friends and you're meeting people. Do you remember your first show? Where was your first show that you actually did that somebody booked you on?
The first show I got booked on was at Walter Payton's Roundhouse. It was a comedy club out there. Burt Borth booked me, and I
say that 5 times fast.
I was opening for I think Mike Toomey was headlining.
Oh, that's so cool.
Pat
McGann Show legend Mike Toomey.
Yeah, we've had him on. Yeah, we got to go through some of these people that we've had on.
We have multiple Toomeys.
Yeah, but we had that was the first time I did it.
How'd that show go? Do you remember?
It was not bad. It wasn't that was the first place I was performing regularly. And I didn't think anything of it, but it was actually a terrible space
To do
for
stand-up
comedy.
in, yeah.
And I didn't know that. High stage, super high ceilings, bad acoustics. So then when I started doing Zanies, and that was like when I really started working. When I showcased there, and I did, I actually got booked after my first showcase, which was kind of cool. But the booking was like 5 months out.
Sure.
And I just remember thinking like, what? I got to wait till May? Because I showcased like in December. And then they asked me to be house MC, and that's when everything really changed.
What was like the pivotal moment of that time? Like, was there somebody that came through town that you opened for, or was there just like a certain show that like really stuck out with you from that time? That or I guess what were your big takeaways?
It was really
from that
just
moment?
cumulative, and then the big thing was, so at this time I was hiding in my material very much like, okay, I have this 5 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever it was, I'm just gonna do that. And when I was hosting at Zanies, they're like, we don't want you to do your act. We want you to welcome people. We want you to talk to them.
Right.
Find out where they're from. Find out why they're there. And I was like, what? Like, no, I can't. I couldn't do that. I was very, inexperienced in that way. And doing that every night, it just like, I became much more comfortable to a point where like I preferred almost that, being in the moment and just talking to people. And I would go up and do like 15 minutes of that before I bring up the middle act, and then I go up again and
you
bring
start
the headliner
seeing just
up.
like how valuable that is for the rest of the show too, because you're mining those things. You're almost like a point guard, like setting up a bunch of layups or setting up a bunch of passes. Because the minute that you like pull something out of an audience member, then the middle act can like go back and reference that if they were paying attention, they were watching
Yeah.
you, or the headliner can do the exact same thing, and it just like makes the fluidity of the show, like having those kind of callbacks, or just like again making it just this community, this environment in the show that's all very unique to that space. I mean, obviously, like,
Well, yeah, it turned it all upside down for me. Like the guy who ran Zanies, Bert Haas, was like, "This is your show," which is you find hard to believe because you're like, "I'm just the host,"
Right.
And hosting has a bad rep. There are certainly not some comics are just not good at it. They're just not host style, but hosting is important, and you can really grow in that role. A lot of people are like, I don't want to host, or but really is like, when you watch a late night show, when you watch Kimmel, Letterman, whoever that's a host.
there's a hospitality
And they're
angle
starting,
about
they're
it,
coming
yeah.
out cold, they're welcoming everyone, and they're running the show. So those skills translate so much more. And then to even break it down further for like, somebody taught me this was when you headline, you're actually hosting and middling again,
Right.
and then you have to close. So that's the difference. But when you come out as a headliner, that first 5-10 minutes, you should be welcoming in a way and talking and acknowledging where you are, and kind of like getting into that mode. And then you start going into material, which is like that middle part, and then the difference would be closing. But the hosting skill is like, and now when I'm doing corporate gigs, or I've gotten to host some award shows and some things like that, and now I'm hosting a podcast. You wouldn't think that though, because right now I'm a guest on my own podcast. How did I get booked for this?
I like to think of like when you're just starting out, the thing that there's two ways that you can kind of describe this. One is Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and that's like if you're gigging, if you're like riding your bike to deliver things, your pizza delivery guy or like whatever, and then you do stand up at night. Or if you're like the more corporate route that I've taken, it's like Batman, Bruce Wayne. So I'm assuming you had kind of a Batman, Bruce Wayne type of mentality at the beginning. Like you had your day job, which is paying the bills, and then you're doing stand up at night. What was it like when you were able to basically fire Bruce Wayne and become Batman full time? Because you had that moment, right, where you had to.
I got fired by somebody else.
Oh,
Actually.
yeah?
That was basically. I didn't feel bad about it because I had a commission sales job, and slowly, like my commissions were just like dwindling, And this was like coinciding with like the internet came out and like everything kind of shifted in the business. It wouldn't be fun anymore. People were just not buying on relationships at all. It was just like I had clients that were like, man, I'd love to keep working with you, but I got a better price from this other person. It didn't even matter if you like had a relationship. And so anyway, things started dying down, and I was putting a lot more time, and I was hiding it because the company I worked for was headquartered in Texas. It was very small, and the guy I worked with here in Chicago, he knew what I was doing, but I didn't really broadcast it.
Yeah.
And my boss called me, and I was about to get married actually, and he was like, man, I don't even know how you're living off of this, because you were doing well like last year. Like, do you have another job? Are you doing anything else? And I'm like, I didn't really say anything. We just decided to part ways, and then I was like, all right. Then I had to get a different second job. That's when I worked for Let Us Entertain You, and I was like stocking a liquor room at Studio Paris, So I did that for almost a year, and then I was able to just do stand-up.
So it's kind of more of a gradual exit from it as opposed to just
a hard
it wasn't
stop. Like overnight, like, like I walked in there one day, it was like, I want all you guys to fuck off. I'm out of here.
Tell me about the moment that you got late night.
Late night for what?
Like your
when I
first,
did Letterman.
When you actually started talking about David Letterman, it's like when you actually got to go to New York, go to the Ed Sullivan Theater. You met Dave before, or did you not meet Dave until after you were done?
I just met him. The only time I was near him, both times I did it, was at the end of the set. I shook his hand, and we like stood next to him as we went to commercial. And that was
it like a real, truly surreal experience? Just
definitely.
Doing it?
Oh yeah. The first time I did it, I was I had submitted. I was close to getting on like a year before. Eddie Brill, who was the warm-up act, he also booked the stand-ups, and then that changed. Eddie wasn't the booker anymore, so it was like, oh man, I had thought I was gonna. Yeah. So I actually worked with a comic, Nick Griffin. Nick Griffin, very funny dude, and at that time he was like Letterman's favorite comic. He'd been on 12 times or something, and I worked with him in Columbus, Ohio, at the Funny Bone. And he said, he asked me, like, have you submitted for Letterman? I think he'd like you. You should send him a tape. I'll put a word in for you. And I knew that Letterman loved him. So I was like, yeah, I'll do that Monday. I had a set already, So that kind of like fast-tracked me, I think. And it happened fairly quickly after that.
Would you say that he's like, 'cause they say this in entertainment that like, there are certain angels that like really help you because they're people that pull you up.
That is the best thing that is the best thing. I try to help people because of situations like that. That is it. That's the cycle of it, and that is the best thing about stand-up. I mean, I think about sometimes like, Sebastian, when he took me out on the road and then he produced a special,
right? Like
to put his name on, like that's a lot to do for someone, to put your name on someone else's content. And say, I support this, and I'm going to share my platform. I'm going to, lift someone up. That's definitely what Nick did for me. And that's the thing I love about comedy. What I was trying to say is, like, it's a great environment. Most of the time, like, there's only a few people that you can recall being, like, jerks or thinking, like, I don't want to be like that person. So I've gotten to meet a lot of great people, and I think comics help each other out because we all know how brutal it can be.
You do your Letterman set, you're spit out onto Broadway at like whatever that is, like 5:30, because late night gets shot in the afternoon, right? Do you go watch it? You obviously went and watched it on TV, or do you like watch it with friends? Or
I can't remember if I watched it, but I had a bunch of people come out.
Yeah,
like it was fun. Like I had some Southsiders come out. My buddy from Boston came down. My family. It was great, man. And one of the cool like little things you get to do when you do that Letterman is you get to pick your walkout song.
Which pick?
I did State of Love and Trust, Pearl Jam.
Okay, cool.
And that was just really to hear Paul Schaefer and them like, and when you go out there, it's tight. So, like, my first experience of David Letterman is hearing him laugh at a joke of mine. And when I heard him laugh at a joke of mine, I was derailed.
Of course.
And I almost blanked out. Like, I almost had a moment, and I'd had this moment on stage before where I forgot everything. And there is a moment in that set I did where I'm like,
Can you see it when you
gather?
watch the tape?
I can see it. I don't think other people could probably see it. And I did miss like a tag, like half of a joke. I didn't finish this thing, but then I luckily recovered.
Tiege Hanley has changed my life. My skin has been amazing.
We're the #1 men's skincare routine in America.
When I got here, they go, we're just waiting for the podcast guest. We know you're here for pictures.
They thought you were a model?
Yeah, you guys, he's glowing. In fact, Nate Bargatze was like, your skin's awesome.
Just like, I look forward to like, I'm washing my face before I go to sleep.
I think we haven't had any 40-year-olds on the podcast. And I said, I'm 50. And everyone goes, what?
Tiege Hanley. It's the way we face the day.
When you're like kind of in the zone and everything's flowing, like, are those moments where you can, I hate to call it going on autopilot, but like, you know your material so well, you kind of know what comes next. Like, it's almost like there's a little bit of your mouth is doing what your brain is telling it to do because you know where it's supposed to go. Like,
Yeah.
Are there those moments where you can kind of like, I won't say zone out or black out, but like just kind of like
Auto.
go a little bit autopilot and like, you know, maybe you're not thinking too hard on your feet or like I don't know. And there are those moments where all of a sudden it just stops. Or you get thinking about something else. Like you get neurotic and start thinking about something else that's going on.
When I get into that place, I'm usually thinking about what I want to do after.
Right. Yeah.
So I'll like go into something that I know really well and I know kind of works. It's almost like, and that happens often,
right?
You know, because I don't have a whole lot of structure. I mean, I have a general idea when I go out there what I'm going to do. Like when I'm doing my own set, I'm talking about when I'm doing like an hour on my own.
Yeah, like you're doing 45 to an hour.
I could just go and then, but if I don't love what's going on, I'm always like ahead. So you're always like, usually you're thinking about the next bit, the next, like where you're going to go. So there's a lot going on in your mind. It's great to be present and in the moment, and you can be at the same time too. That helps with like act outs and actually like performing the bit, which gets you a little bit further, I think.
I have a final question in the Pat McGann. This is your comedy section of this interview. You've done big theaters. You've done so many different comedy clubs. You've done independent shows, like here in Chicago. You've done a ton of independent shows. What's your favorite place to perform? Is it in an intimate setting? Is it in a more like the club setting?
A club, yeah.
Yeah, so like,
yeah.
What's the ideal size of a club? Like Rosemont or
yeah, of the Zanies, Rosemont is I think the best setup and a great size. It's about 250, you know, and that's great on a Friday, Saturday night. That's going to be a lot of fun. Smaller crowds I enjoy too when they're tight and like going down to CYSK, Timothy O'Toole's.
Yes, yeah.
They're on top of you. Like I like when they're right there. Denver Comedy Works Downtown Club, they're sitting on the stage basically.
Right.
And they are you're almost in the round, literally surrounded. And I always say that too when I do these private gigs or a corporate gig, like get these people as close to the stage as possible. You know, I did one the other night and they had like a dance floor and then the stage. And then I did like 10 minutes up there and then I went down and I'm like, I'm coming down here, guys. I want to be right here with you because we're not really connecting as well as we could be.
When you open for Sebastian, you're doing stadiums?
Arenas, yeah.
So like, was there like a gladiator moment where you're like, where you walk out there and you just kind of like fucking look around? It's like, whoa,
dude. I had a moment one time, and I did the Garden in Boston, TD Garden, opening for Sebastian, and I did about 5 minutes. You know, I was like 5 minutes in, and then all of a sudden I started hearing from my back left. So you're in the round, and it was like one end of the court. You know, it was, imagine like behind the basket, like this whole side started chanting, "We can't hear you." So like the sound went out, like the speakers went out in that part of the arena.
Oh shit!
And you start when you and this is 20,000 people, and 5,000 of them
can't hear you. Start
chanting in unison. It builds like I felt it, and it was like, what is going on? And then I heard it. You know, and in retrospect, that was like pretty cool. because like you think about what an athlete feels,
Oh yeah.
and
When you're shaking Gilbert Alexander and everybody's yelling flopper, flopper.
and you hear that coming on, like it's directed at you. It's like going through you.
There's a power.
And then I had like to adjust to that. And I think I was like, "You guys can't hear me?" And they responded like, "Yeah, like clap."
Correct.
And I was like, "Well, you heard that." And finally they got it, up and running.
Figured out.
But yeah, that was a moment that sticks with you. But those arenas are surprisingly really fun to perform in front of. People say like, "Oh man, comedy in arena, I don't know about that." And especially that last tour I did opening for him, he had a stage low, like we were like right in with people. It was triangular, so it like went into the crowd, it felt like. And in the round you got a lot in the screens too. These screens help a ton, because I've gone up in the rafters and watched some of these shows just to what are these people feeling, what are they experiencing, and you can really with the screen you feel a lot closer.
The podcast. So
How did I come up with a name? Great question.
I was on that email thread. We've done 39 proper of the, and you know what? I'll even say like with the bonus episodes.
Is this not proper? This is a non-proper episode. We've done 39 proper, and then this,
and then whatever the fuck with the
whatever you want to call this one.
No, I'd say
we had a bonus. Didn't we?
We've done a few bonuses, so I'd say like combined we've done like 41 shows at this point. Who besides Dwayne, besides like Maggie, like who stands out for you in terms of like I can't believe I got to like interview them, or I just had so much fun interviewing them.
I mean, I like to think I have fun every week, and
good cover. Who did you have the most fun interviewing?
I'm thinking. That's me. That's me thinking. I'm trying to consider. I want to consider like it's a lot of people when you think about it. I love that we have these pictures on the wall, and coming in every time I glance at that, and it's always like, wow, man, this is fun. It's like always somebody different and all different walks of, I feel like we're having different walks of life, and that's the other thing. This podcast, man, this is taken on, and this is what happens when you start a project. It takes on a different life than you think it's going to, and it may pull you in a different direction. Originally, I didn't know we were going to have a guest, or I didn't think that we were going to have a guest every week. We talked about maybe, and we played around with things, and then we found that I think, having somebody was just more enjoyable and kind of built it out, and
definitely found its groove in that respect. I mean, because like I remember having early conversations with you about like what's this even going to look like, or how's this going to take shape, and then it kind of did its own thing organically in a really positive way where. Whenever we would have DK sitting in here, and like you guys have such great chemistry, and like
I got to do, and I know you said besides Dwayne and Maggie, because they probably have been on more than anybody.
Dwayne is our most.
I want to really love on Dwayne for a minute, because he is phenomenal, and we are really good friends, and he's
just such a great person too. On top of being so just.
He
funny.
Is. Not only is he such a good dude and such a brilliant comic, but he's like a philosopher in a way.
Absolutely.
He's a prolific writer, and so much respect for Dwayne. And we've had a lot of people come through here, a lot of people that I have known and have tapped into a lot of relationships that I've built through the years, and it's great that these people are willing to come on. I think about this show in kind of like two ways. I think about the conference room days for some reason, and I think about being here in the studio. It seems like that first front end. I remember having Robin Baumgarten in, and I had never really talked to Robin like that. I go on
such a sweetheart.
I go on their show,
funny.
and they're interviewing me. I'm the guest, so it's kind of different when I'm. It's like this right now. It's like. A switch. So having to ask her stuff and to hear more about her, because I think she's fairly private too, So that was great that she came on. She was comfortable. I thought she really opened up. It was like, you never know how open these people are going to be when they come in. And that's what you want, because that's what I think people respond to or connect with, you know?
I'll take a swing and tell you that and we've had a lot of great people come through here, and you know, people I'm so excited to meet, people I know that I'm catching up with again. I got to tell you, man, Mark Giangreco was probably the highlight for me. That guy was such a raconteur. He had a story for everything. Like, you know, he'd see something on your shirt and he'd be like, oh yeah, that. And then he would go off for like half an hour. And I swear to God, I'm Italian. He's Italian. Like I took to him pretty instantly. And like, he told me that I reminded him of one of his nephews. Like, I could have gone out for a beer with that guy and probably just like listened to him talk for another 5 or 6 hours. Like, I didn't want that to stop.
He's phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's such a great dude. And again, a guy that I watched growing up. And was aware that he went to Dayton. I was aware that, you know, he was just a part of, you know, you watch The Last Dance. He's all over The Last Dance. He's like embedded in, and when I booked him, and I remember having Mark Giangreco, I heard from a lot of people like, dude, you and Giangreco, like that, like, you know, that's great. How'd you get him? And when I first was talking to Kelly about this podcast, I reached out to Mark to host it with me.
Oh, wow.
To be like, to do it together. To do it together. And he took a little bit to think about it. And as you said, when he was here, he likes to travel. He's retired. He's got, you know. So, you know, I think we'll have him back on as a guest. Obviously, he wasn't able to commit to hosting. But that's how highly I think of him. And, you know, he brings so much. He's so well-rounded, you know. He's funny on top of all this other stuff.
I just like him to come over for dinner because I just want to hang out with him.
A lot of guys already trust Tiege Hanley. They've shipped over 3 million boxes and have more than 24,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars. In fact, 91% of customers say they'd recommend it to a friend. People only talk like that when a product works. If you're ready to upgrade your routine, check out Tiege Hanley and face the day with confidence. Head to Tiege.com/Pat for 40% off and a free gift. That's Tiege.com/Pat. You got to make him Bill Rancic.
The Pandy. So here's a little BTS for you. So Bill Rancic brought us all the Pandy products. So he brought for Pat, and Pat generously shared with the rest of us. So we had a bunch of pastas. We had a bunch of sauce. So everybody got to go home with a little bit of something. I went home with the bucatini, and I went to Mariano's, my Mariano's at Roscoe and Western, and I found the Pandy sauce, and I went home and I made the bucatini pomodoro for my wife and my son, and we just had an amazing dinner. And the stuff is like, it's good. It is really
good. I made it for actually Kim and I had it one night. We had the dish he told me to do was cut up this salami in there with the pomodoro sauce, and then I had it with my kids as well because I had like leftovers. Everybody loved it. I'm gonna get some of that stuff at the store. I need to actually tell him because he was like, when you have this, let me know.
He just like,
it is very good. Another great guest.
He was one of the kind of people where you meet him, and I'm not saying that like he changed my life, but it's just like, man, I want to be more like that guy in terms of just like, he had such a positive energy that was an atmosphere around him. Like every handshake, every bit of eye contact, it just felt like, oh man, this guy is radiating such brilliant sunshine. I want to do that for people.
Yeah, he's dynamic, dude. Brought the first pet we've had on the show, right? That was the first animal we had.
A dog. Yeah, that Zeus.
He was phenomenal. Bill was great. I think about having Coach Holtman on here.
Oh man,
the head coach at DePaul. I'm a big basketball fan, and when
he was so cool.
When he was like, "Yeah, I'll do it. I'll come on," I was really flattered, and he was great to talk to. Very interesting dude, funny guy, And having Ian Happ last week. I mean, I got a little shit from that from some of my buddies because I'm a White Sox fan, but this guy is just a real deal. And by the way, the Cubs have not won since he's been on the podcast. They have not won a game. So,
oops,
my plan is working.
Curse him again.
The plan is working. No, I felt bad about that. Because Thank God he said he wasn't superstitious, because I could only imagine, like, never going on that show again.
So years ago, and this is I really appreciate you letting me do this, because I used to host my own late night talk show. And years ago, when I was hosting my show out with my buddies in Los Angeles, we had this thing which we had like a dream guest that we wanted to get on the show. And I'll give my friend Paul Walter Hauser credit with this, because he came up with it. But it was called the Bill Murray. It's the Bill Murray pool. So like essentially we had like things that we would give away if you could give us Bill Murray's private number, because Bill Murray very famously doesn't have an agent. He just has like a phone number. You call, you leave a voice message, and then he'll call you back if he wants to do it. So we wanted to book Bill Murray desperately on the show. So we always had like, you're gonna get like a 6-pack, and you're gonna get this DVD of Ghostbusters, and you're gonna get this, like, basically it just kept growing and kept growing and kept growing. I'm not saying that Bill Murray is the dream guest of the Pat McGann Show, but who is the dream guest of the Pat McGann Show?
Oh man, I'll say Letterman.
David Letterman. If we can get old David Letterman, Santa Claus Letterman to come in here, man, I will give you my salary for a year.
My Letterman
get David Letterman sitting in the chair I'm in right now, dude.
My Letterman intrigue is back to a high level. I saw him on one of the last Colbert's.
On Colbert, yeah.
And he went on, just reminded me about all of his contributions. And he's still very relevant. He does the
show he does on Netflix. Yeah, my next guest is.
Yeah, he's great. I would love to have
my
him.
guest. My next guest needs no introduction. That's the name of the show. When he and Colbert were throwing stuff off the roof, it just reminded me of all the funny things that he would do all over the years. Like, he just had that stupid segment where it was like, will it float? And he, he'd bring out something. He's like, hey, Paul, is this going to float? And he just drop like whatever into a tub, and if it floats or not. So stupid.
Tom, thank you you kind of turned the tables on me, made me the focus.
Sure.
Appreciate that. And I appreciate everyone that's been listening to this podcast. I always say check them out. Some of these back, the previous episodes, they're pretty evergreen. We've had a lot of tremendous guests, and I appreciate every one of them. I'm actually doing something with Jeff Morrow this weekend.
Love Jeff.
It's
Need
City
to call
Winery.
him out too.
He's doing a show Friday
really funny
night.
Dude.
And then we got someone else mentioned Jarrett Payton. That was a banger. How about we had when we had Lio Cundiff on?
Lio Cundiff just babysat my child.
He did?
I
went to baby saver?
The
best babysitter ever.
Babysat my child. My wife and I went to the Bruno Mars concert, and Leo came over and watched Leo. We had a Leo that night.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, who's more qualified than that?
That's what my wife said.
Yeah, and we had him on like just a couple of days after he saved a baby.
Yeah.
All right, but really, thank you for rolling with today.
Of course.
We're going to be back on track. Next week, we have Mitch Rosen. This is an exciting guest for me. This guy actually lives on the South Side, but he is such a contributor here and he's a member of the National Radio Hall of Fame. He's a program director for WXRT, which is, I think, one of the best stations in the city. I think it's the best. That's all I listen to be honest with you. And then The Score. When I'm listening to sports radio, I'm always on listening to that. So Mitch is going to join us. We got Oz Perlman coming up. We have some really good guests lined up. So I hope people are tuning in. We want some reviews, though, and we'd love for you guys to interact with us online. As always, we have the promo code, Tiege.com/Pat.
You didn't ask me about my skin.
Get yourself some skincare. I'll talk about my skincare. Okay. Because I've been using it.
Tell me about
daily.
it. Tell me.
I don't know. I like the stuff, man. I'm into the wash now. I use that in the shower, the face wash. It's got a great odor, great scent. I don't want to say odor.
Every single day is a wash and AM moisturizer day for sure. Just doing those two basic things are going to change your life. But if you can work that PM in and you can work the scrub in also, like, you got to just, it's not that hard. Like, it's 2 minutes of your day.
I was at Great America all day yesterday in the sun. I would normally probably burn up, but I had my my AM on with the SPF.
Gives you a nice even tone.
And my Look Good drops. That's the only tan I'm getting these days. All right, you guys, we're fired up to keep this thing rolling, but thanks for hanging us with the first 40. We're going to keep going. Thanks, Tom.
Always.
All right, you guys, have a good week. We'll be back
See you out
with
there.
the regularly scheduled Pat McGann Show next week. Bye.
The Pat McGann Show is brought to you by the Pat McGann Show team. Producer Paula Thornton. Showrunner Tom Bambara. Audio engineer Tommy Grant. Video production Eddie Perez. Video and audio editor Madeline Curlis. Organic content manager George Moster. Recorded at Tiege Hanley Studios in Chicago, Illinois.